Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Intel Extreme Masters in New York City. We are well underway in our quarterfinals right now. We're heading off to quarterfinal number 3, but before we get there, let's check with our bracket. If you weren't with us earlier on, you've missed a couple of great games. Life took a 3-0 lead in the first game to dominate against Hero, and then we've just seen Curious go through 3-2 in his second game of the quarterfinals. We have our third quarterfinal coming up in just a moment. It's time to introduce you to the players. Now, before we get to them, I have to admit to you, I wondered how to introduce these two. They are two fantastic Korean players. They have already massive titles behind them. They are already very popular, and they are probably the most comical of Koreans. You'll know what I mean in just a second. Ladies and gentlemen, please make some noise. A very special Comic-Con quarterfinal. It's Hyun and DongRaeGu. I have absolutely no idea how to follow that. Okay, so it's Big Ears versus Spider-Man. It's quarterfinal number 3. Ladies and gentlemen, your commentary team.
Thanks very much, Paul. He is Spider-Man. He's a superhero. He is Quantic Hyun, and he's going up against DongRaeGu.
Spider Hyun, Super Hyun, whatever you want to say. What an entrance to the stage there. That's one to remember, one to rival the likes of SKMC at all those MLG tournaments. Hyun delivers when he wants to, and he really did that time. And if you didn't know, it is going to be the third quarterfinal. I'm a little bit thrown away by that, as you can still see. There is the man behind the mask.
We all know who Spider-Man is now. It's Hyun. Oh, who would have thought it? He's got a little Spider-Man with him on his back. He's got a little Spider-Man in his hands. There's more than one Spider-Man, apparently.
DongRaeGu with his bunny ears and Hyun as Spider-Man.
I didn't think I'd see it, actually, but here we are.
I didn't think we'd see that either. Now we just need me and you dressed up like Batman and Robin, and it would be complete.
Uh-oh. Well, okay, onto the map, Vito. Onto the map, Vito. We have Derelict Watcher here as the first map being removed for DongRaeGu. It is ZVZ, best of 5, and between these two, the pretty darn good in ZVZ. We already saw Hyun being able to dispatch of a few Zergs, but DongRaeGu was able to beat Life in that bracket stage.
Yeah, that's right. Both of these players having an interesting way to enter this tournament, because currently we are sitting in the top 8, or at least the quarterfinal, should we say, as we have lost a couple of those players from the top 8. But Hyun, and I've been to many a tournament in my past, is a replacement for Polt. Hyun is here because another player couldn't make it, and he's in the quarterfinals, and he could go the entire way. For me, I peg Hyun as a big favorite to do very well in this tournament. But of course, DongRaeGu, a player where it all begun in New York City. His first ever StarCraft 2 tournament was in New York.
Yep.
His first ever win, should I say, was in New York City, and he's back here 2 years later with a massive name, a lot of achievements behind him. And here we are, where these two friends, for now, go head-to-head as the costume may come off, as it's time to get real with these players, Kalaris.
Yeah, I think the hands got stuck together with the webs there of Spider-Man, but oh well. And there's a little Spider-Man there in the crowd. So plenty of Spider-Man action here at Comic-Con. There's actually been some amazing, amazing costumes that we've been seeing over the whole time here. Hyun doesn't disappoint. He does not disappoint. A wonderful entrance, one to rival some WWE-style entrances, that one. But this is all serious now. It is going to be a best of 5, as we just saw the map vetoes take place, and the map order also been taking place. So we do have the map order, and we'll be getting into this very shortly as Hyun prepares himself to battle. But there is the bunny ears, and there is MVP DongRaeGu, a name that, if you've been following StarCraft over the last couple of years, if you haven't,
then you should know who the hell this guy is.
Oh yeah, he was arguably one of the best Zergs in the world at one point. And you know, when he entered the scene at the very beginning, there was a huge amount of hype around him as he was like a ladder monster. Everyone considered him to be this enigma in the Korean scene who eventually burst onto the scene and didn't disappoint.
He, through 2011 and 2012, I can't even count the amount of finals that he entered. He won GSL, he's won MLGs, he's won the Intel Extreme Masters New York 2 years ago, he's been in multiple different finals. But this is a guy with a bit of a different history. He came into StarCraft 2 a lot later because he was still playing Brood War, the game prior to StarCraft 2. He came in 2012, he played in Code 8. I remember, and I casted his first live tournament, was DreamHack Stockholm 2012, and I watched him play, and I went, oh my God, incredible player. But he didn't understand StarCraft 2 properly yet. It took him less than 6 months, Kolaris, from entering an international tournament where he finished like round of 32, round of 16 at DreamHack, to be in a GSL final in 2012 in November. 6 months it took him to understand StarCraft, and ever since that point when he made that final in 2013, he, in my opinion, is absolutely 100% top 3 Zerg player worldwide.
Yeah, he's a fantastic player. And it's also important to note that you say, you know, he was a player playing Brood War for a long time, but he made that transition way earlier than all of the other Casper players, right? That ended up having that migration once StarCraft 1 was done. I was about to say and dusted, and to make Todd happy, but oh well. You know, Hyun here, Hyun is so strong. He's been around for a long time. DongRaeGu, on the other hand, such strong Zerg as well. These ZVZs that we've had at the Intel Extreme Masters New York have been like dream-worthy ZVZs in terms of the headliners.
And I really think this one will live up to it as well. I've seen so many good Zerg versus Zergs from Hyun throughout this year. He's finished twice in the round of 8 at DreamHack. He won DreamHack Valencia. He's currently sitting, by the way, outside of the top 16 for BlizzCon. But I've spoken to him and he says, I don't care where I'm ranked, I'm going to BlizzCon. He wants to win this tournament, he wants to do well, because currently he's still sitting in the top 16 in the World Championship Series in America. He believes that he's going to go and get the points necessary, and I actually believe in him to do so.
Yeah.
He's not that far away. He's like ranked 25 right now. Needs to be top 16, and I actually believe in what he says. He will go to BlizzCon this year.
If it was just this tournament alone, then there's not a whole lot of chance for him at that rank, but because there is still WCS America looming, he has a great opportunity to, and he's going into WCS America so well prepared, absolutely working as hard as he possibly can for it. And DongRaeGu, well, DongRaeGu sits outside of that. It's all about this tournament for him. It's all about the money, and it's all about the glory here in New York. Wants to defend his title in New York.
Yeah, well, of course, DongRaeGu started his career in 2011, winning this first big tournament, really put his name out there. And I'm sure there's a lot of good memories within New York City that he experienced back then. Wanting to relive those moments, relive the time that he beat Fruit Dealer in the finals back then, where he lost the first 2 games and then made a massive comeback. But here's another time for another Zerg versus Zerg. 2 fantastic players, really are up there recently. Of course, DongRaeGu not quite as high, I'd imagine, as Hyun when it comes to his results, but as a persona, absolutely one of the best.
Certainly so. All right, guys, let's get into game number 1 to find out who advances on to the semi-final ZVZ, as we have Quantic Gaming's Hyun facing off against MVP DongRaeGu. Spawning down at the bottom left-hand corner, we have our red Zerg representing Quantic Gaming as well as Korea. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Hyun! And down to the bottom right-hand corner, we have our blue Zerg representing MVP as well as Korea. Give it up for DongRaeGu.
All those finals that he made at MLG, all those DRG chants, absolutely going to be a memory that DongRaeGu will want to hold on to for a very long time in his lifespan. But Hyun, with a massive, massive run in 2013, really, as mentioned before, putting himself up there as top 3 Zerg worldwide. And we've already casted his games a couple of times this event.
Yeah. He's
come into Zerg vs. Zerg with a nice style, a refreshing style, because we don't see it too often. Been playing very heavy when it comes to his mineral focus. not taking gases too early, playing very defensive, letting you come to him. I wonder if he'll approach this series against DongRaeGu in the same style.
Well, we'll have to see here. DongRaeGu was looking pretty formidable when it came to ZVZ in that bracket stage. And now we have Hyun going for expansion, as will DongRaeGu. So both hatchery first on a map like Frost. Slightly more predictable than we would have taken it for any other map or in any other position in this series. It's just the first game. Each other's going to feel each other out.
Yeah, Hyun's opened up with a little bit more of a defensive build. He went, well, defensive compared to DongRaeGu, should I say. 15 hatchery into 14 spawning pool, rushing that spawning pool out in case there was a rush. But both overlords now are going to cross paths. They know where they've spawned now. We should see the initial overlords that were sent north already change paths. DRG's brought it back. Hyun not yet. I think he will do soon. But on the other side of the things with the builds, DongRaeGu decided to get the extractor much earlier on and then the spawning pool. He's going to have a very fast Zergling speed in this game, could follow it up with a Baneling Nest, and absolutely has options to be aggressive with compared to Hyun, who has not.
Oh yeah, especially if he sees, somehow gets indication that his opponent has no gases down yet. But that's going to be a little bit tricky, as the Queen has already begun production. So DongRaeGu's going to send that Overlord initially over to the natural, and then unfortunately probably won't be able to get into the main there.
But talking about differences when it comes to being aggressive and defensive, on a map like Frost here, the natural, it's not very difficult to wall off, for example. Hyun can build a couple of evolution chambers, a Roach Warren evolution chamber, wall with queens, throw a spine behind it. So this is a nice defensive map here for Hyun, and if he's playing the style which we thought he may, and as we can see it seems to be, then this is okay for him. I think he's in good shape against any aggression if DongRaeGu was to go for it.
Well, two lings did sneak out for Hyun, so, and importantly, they were outside of Overlord vision. So now he can try and shark his way on in there and see exactly what's going on to find out what he can see. If he can find maybe something, you know, get them gas cut timing indicators, then that would be absolutely fantastic for him, and he does enter.
Yeah, and he sees that his opponent hasn't really been mining a lot of gas. He's noticed that 100 is missing, Zergling speed he's building, but he also notices behind that there's only been about 50 gas been mined. So he knows that he shouldn't be under any aggression anytime soon. So he's still droning, he's added on the double gases, that is Hyun I'm talking about right now, and we'll just be looking to tech up from this position. He's under no threat at all.
Yep, speed's about to finish here for DongRaeGu, with those double gases going down for Hyun, as you mentioned. You know, and with that, he'll be fine. The Zergling does end up dying in the base there, but Hyun already got all the information he needs. He actually is throwing down a spine crawler in response to what he's seen, just making sure that his opponent can't do anything to him in these earlier stages.
He's got no defense at all. He's got just queens that are creep spreading. The only defense he has is a spine crawler. He doesn't have any units, so it makes sense that he's trying to play just a little bit cautiously here. It'd be completely greedy if he was to skip it. But with the advantage that DongRaeGu has in this game, which is Zergling speed and to an essence, map control, the first thing he's going to do with that advantage is go in and find out what the hell's going on. He sees no gases in the main base, but knows gas has been taken on the natural. He knows there's two gases. He also knows his opponent cannot be aggressive. So if you cannot be aggressive, what should you do? Take an expansion, as we see DongRaeGu taking the third base a lot earlier than Hyun in this game.
And he already had a bit of a gas build-up compared to his opponent, so he throws down the Baneling Nest just to make sure. Of course, he technically could have used that aggressively, but because we see now that the evolution wall has begun for Hyun as well as DongRaeGu, but Hyun, most of the point in this sentence is that, you know, it will be very, very difficult for DongRaeGu to do anything at the front there. So this game is going to play out for a little bit longer, certainly so. And there are a few lings on the way, maybe to try and deny his opponent's third once Hyun gets whiff of his third.
Yeah, I think that this 22 Zergling, sorry, should be for a bit of pressure to slow his opponent from taking a third, make sure he gets a good amount of roaches out, and also to protect his own base, which is a little bit earlier at this point. I don't think he's going to commit too heavily to this attack. He should be wanting, I suppose, to maybe drone up and get a roach down. That's one thing that is missing at this point. But Hyun, has he even got any units out? He hasn't even got a Roach Warren yet, Claris.
He's so greedy. He plays so, you know, so upgrade heavy to try and get this going.
There's a lot of units coming from DongRaeGu, and without a Roach Warren, he's only got Zerglings of his own. There's no Baneling Nest for Hyun.
Has to be very, very careful.
The Roach Warren's only just started, and there's so many units being built for DongRaeGu at this point. I thought he was maybe going to go for just a few, but that's a lot.
That is a huge amount of lings. He already has, like, what, 40? He has now 40 on the map with 10 extra coming out here. So 50-some in total to try and pressure the front as well as maybe that third.
Oh, the wall is open for Hyun.
Uh-oh, big deal here. That Spinecrawler will end up falling very quickly. Also morphing in some Banelings at the front here as that Queen will end up falling. Not that much production left there unless those Queens can actually get back and deal with that. But those Banelings morphing in, if they get connections, they could do a lot of damage.
I can't help but feel the Roach Warren is just so late in this game, and big detonation for DongRaeGu. The Queens are going to get picked off. The drones!
8 drones go down the link, stream in as well, getting a few kills out themselves. Whilst the Queens are under pressure at the back, they can't actually do anything. DongRaeGu with a great execution here early on.
And the Spider-Man has met his match here. The Dong is just destroying everything. Too greedy of a play by Hyun, too late of a Roach Warren, and DongRaeGu, who looked like he was going to play much different when it came to his economy, as probably Hyun thought, having such an early third base. But no. DongRaeGu comes in and destroys all the Queens, all the drones.
Zergling's overwhelming, power overwhelming. The Roaches are out, but who really cares at this point? Those 2 Banelings trying to get a connection. Just barely cannot get there. One of them will end up getting 4 kills, but 33 workers have gone down during all of this. It's 41-17 right now.
If Hyun was able to hold off, if he had units to defend, he would have been in such good position. Unfortunately, that is not the case here. A few Roaches come out, but even with their 1-1 upgrades, they aren't enough in numbers. DongRaeGu has an upgrade for his Roaches coming. He has a massive economy, 47 drones to 17. And he has a Roach Warren about to finish up. And look how much money that DongRaeGu has. We're going to see the Roaches being built.
There's going to be a lot of Roaches. Let's face it. There's already 12 on the way to deal with his opponent's current 7. And the 13th gets added on as well. So DongRaeGu behind this with his income is absolutely flying in comparison to where we're seeing Hyun. Hyun, he has to replenish drones and try and get something working, but once he gets hit by this Roach wave, it's bye-bye.
Well, once you lose your economy, you have to rebuild it to build an army.
Yeah.
It's the first stage of building an army is obviously having an economy. And DongRaeGu says, well, mate, if you're going to be doing that, you're clearly not going to have anything to defend against what I have, because I already have the economy that you don't. And at this moment, as we can see in the production tab, DongRaeGu builds nothing but units, nothing but Roaches, and he will go across the map as soon as he's ready. He doesn't really need to wait for anything at this point. He can go now, he can wait for Roach speed. Whatever the case, DongRaeGu is going to come over with an army that cannot be matched. It's impossible to be matched.
And normally knowledge is power here for Hyun to be able to spot those Roaches moving across the map. But if you have nothing to deal with it, if you have no production, no economy to deal with that, then unfortunately, he's really not going to actually hold this unless some miracle occurs. He sees the third base. He doesn't even care. He knows that that isn't important. He wants to go straight for the jugular.
Yeah, and he will. There's just not enough units here for Hyun. DongRaeGu marches forward, and DongRaeGu says, all right, Spider-Man, good show, but I'm going to win this series. And he starts off with a map advantage.
The Web Slinger is bested in game number 1 by the kitten. Are those kitten ears?
Bunny, kitten, I don't know, man.
It's pretty cute, whatever it is. Cute little DongRaeGu. Anyway, game number 2 will be on the way here in a second, and that was impressive by Hyun there, as he was able to... Sorry, that was impressive by DongRaeGu, as just he was able to evaluate the situation, and he had far more information in comparison to his opponent. Yes, obviously, Hyun saw his opponent's gas timing, saw how much gas was coming in, but once DongRaeGu flips the switch, it was hard to stop him.
Well, the way that Hyun played, I don't think he's going to be too upset with how that game went. He had, and if we look at the advantages before the attack of Zerglings came in, Hyun had the economy, Hyun had the upgrades, Hyun had the Queens, he had the lava, he had the creep spread. The only thing missing was an army. If he had a Roach Warren down and was maybe a little bit more active with scouting, kind of seeing what DongRaeGu was doing, then to be honest, I think he was in pretty good shape if he was to be able to hold off the Zergling attack. But DongRaeGu, great attack, really specific to what he needed to do, and he picks up the advantage and picks up game number 1.
All right, well, game number 2 is on the way in just a little bit here, as we have Belshir Vestige, our map. This could quite easily go to 5 maps. I will say that. Both of these players, very good at ZVZ. And again, as much as DongRaeGu takes that first map, we have to remind you that Hyun has something like a 68% win ratio in this matchup in Heart of the Swarm. That is massive. That is beyond good in this matchup as a win percentage.
It's amazing. That's actually the one word to describe it, amazing.
He's pretty good. He's a pretty good player. Across all matchups, in fact. But he's looking for a lot of points. He's looking for those points.
Yeah.
Of course, he has the cushion of WCS America, but he wants points. He wants to go to BlizzCon. Everyone wants to go to BlizzCon, let's face it.
It's $100,000 first place. I don't know who wouldn't want to go to BlizzCon for that.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good. I want to be in contention for that as well, but unfortunately, I'm not that good at StarCraft, Polo. All right, let's get into game number 2, as we have Hyun and DongRaeGu fighting off against one another. See who advances on to that semi-final, as we have Belshir Vestige, our second map. Spawning down to the bottom right-hand corner are Red Zerg, representing Quantum Gaming as well as Korea. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Hyun.
Spider Hyun.
Spider Hyun, Spider Hyun. All right, and spawning up to the top left-hand corner, we have our Blue Zerg, representing MVP as well as Korea. Give it up for DongRaeGu.
I don't think Hyun is going to change his style. I think he'll play the same style and just kind of adjust it a little bit. Maybe not be too greedy as he was in that game. In a game of StarCraft, if you keep on focusing on the long term, which is your economy and upgrades, and you don't build an army, you're just going to get destroyed if an opponent figures that out, which DongRaeGu did.
It's certainly a tough one here for Hyun. DongRaeGu, on the other hand, you know, I don't think he really changes up too much. Of course, you know, if he doesn't get the scouting intel required to go for that big swell of Zerglings that he decided to do, then, like, those Zerglings, okay, there was a lot of them. Maybe if it had been just like 20 Zerglings, then yes, they could have also just been used to try and deny the third.
The thing is, if he denies the third, as long as Hyun walls off on 2 bases, he's going to be able to build up a big Roach army with 1-1 upgrades, maybe 2-2, slowly take a third. And then he has a lot of timings to hit, because DongRaeGu will, while building those Zerglings, he's not building drones, he's not upgrading, he's not having Roaches of his own. So he really needs to do a lot of damage when he builds so many there. And Hyun, we've seen this weekend, he'll say, all right, you can destroy my third. I'll hit you with a big timing with Roaches and upgrades. And that's usually the way that would play out. That scenario would play out. But Hyun had a wall open, he didn't have any units, and he just got busted there and then.
Just got trashed, unfortunately. Well, we'll see what's going to happen here on Belshir Vestige. We have those 2 expansions on the way. Hyun started way earlier, going for that hatchery first. And that's going to help him just a little bit here, as there was no earlier pools to really apply too much pressure from DongRaeGu. Yes, he will have 2 Zerglings out just to poke around, see what he can do, see what he can see. But other than that, not too much room for him. I
really feel that Hyun may want to change it up sometime in this series. I think he's becoming a bit too predictable this weekend. He's used the same build, the same strategy, same style all weekend long. That Overlord from DongRaeGu, and that's one thing I can notice, is he didn't even scout if the natural hatchery was there.
Yeah.
Look, he doesn't care. He already knows it's there because he knows how his opponent keeps on playing. He goes straight to the main base, sees no gases, and says, all right, you're playing the same again. And you can't become predictable in a game like StarCraft. You can't use the same strategy over and over and over, because eventually you'll get blind countered.
And we already saw that we've already seen players during this weekend exploit the fact that if you don't have gas and you have speed, then you can just get completely pinned down. Yeah. I don't think he saw the very end gas, the very right-hand side gas with that scout, did DongRaeGu, but you know, if he were to get full confirmation of that, then he could be exploitative with his build.
All right, well, currently DongRaeGu does have Zergling speed on the way. These Zerglings do, or will go in, should I say, and he's going to notice that, oh, yes, he sees the gas. So exactly the same setup as game number 1. Zergling speed has been researched, and he has enough money soon for the Baneling Nest. Hyun deciding on a smaller map, where rush distances are a lot smaller than the one we just played on, that all of a sudden, if a big wave of Zerglings was to come out, as Zergling speed was almost ready, he could get caught naked with no defense once again. So he decides to throw down the Spine Crawler nice and early. And he is now looking at the drones now. He says, all right, well, there's a good amount of drones there. There's another drone. Oh, great, drones just popped from the hatchery.
Yeah.
Now that tells Hyun, you are not building aggressive units. So what we'll see from Hyun is more drones. He'll keep, and as we can see, add on 4 extractors at once, and he's gonna just keep on building drones. He knows there's no threat to him at the moment.
Yeah, the 4 extractors at the same time does allow him to catch up a little bit, but we've even seen him, just use those 4 extractors to get layer before speed, or, start 1-1 before speed. It works out for Hyun really well. He loves his roaches. There is no denying it.
It's very greedy, because all he has is the spine and 2 queens. There's no units at all. He doesn't want to let these in.
Oh, hello.
Okay, well, DongRaeGu is going to go in now and see the greed of his opponents. Sees all 4 gases, sees 4 saturation on both bases. And that's a nice pickup. He even gets 1 drone.
That's not too bad. That's not too bad at all. Sees the layer timing, throws down a Baneling Nest instantly off the back of this, and throws down a few more gases, does DongRaeGu. I'm
not sure if DongRaeGu would try to be aggressive like he was in the last game, because he probably knows that his opponent should be able to defend it if he's going to correct his mistakes. But what DongRaeGu is doing, Claris, is being very greedy himself. He's got 3 hatcheries down, he's built nothing but drones, but he has now just started 8 lings. Will we see more again?
Well, I've got to ask, if he got a full scout off there, why else would he need the Baneling Nest other than to be aggressive?
That's right. Maybe he tries to blow up the evolution chambers at the front door.
Yeah.
Right? Maybe that could be something here. But I'm wondering, because the Roach Warren's on time, it's almost like the same scenario as previous. Where is Hyun? No, wait, Hyun is moving his queens and moving his spine crawler.
To the 3rd?
He actually is going to have to close his wall off here against DongRaeGu.
Yes, he really is going to have to, because that's a lot of links streaming to that 3rd location.
Well, he's not building too many, though. He's gone back to drones. He's just looking for only the 3rd cancel here.
He doesn't see the opportunity. And it's, despite, the Baneling Nest going down and it feeling a bit more aggressive than anything, and, the big committal to that would have left him a little bit tarnished.
Uh-oh.
Will he get those?
Yes.
Yes, he will. Nice.
So 2 queens picked off there, 3rd is delayed. So what we're seeing from DongRaeGu here is not overcommitting when it comes to unit production, but he's slowing his opponent down massively. I talked about it before, if you build way too many Zerglings, you get hit by a timing of roaches. But DongRaeGu has +1 attack on the way, he has a good economy because he's been droning, not building units, and he has roaches already on the way. He's doing the best of everything now. His opponent with not too many units, and he's also building up that army.
Very, very nicely done, indeed. We have 61 workers to 46.
Massive.
In favor of DongRaeGu. He's playing this Zerg versus Zerg out very, very well.
I think he's playing Hyun even better.
Yeah.
He's playing Zerg versus Zerg great, but he's playing his opponent even better.
He's doing well against him, and just denying this creep spread here where he can as well. He's going to limit the opponent's roach movement. He's going to deny any kind of reinforcements from getting over the map a little bit quicker than he would have expected. Yes, the supply counts are very, very even, but again, the fact that there are 20 extra drones out for DongRaeGu right now, if he buys more time for himself, he eventually will have more units than his opponent.
It's very simple. All DongRaeGu needs to do is build roaches, and that sounds very simple. Very simple indeed, but the way he set himself up to do it is the beautiful part of Zerg versus Zerg. And we will probably see Hyun go for an attack. Does DongRaeGu finally have the numbers? He's going to have the upgrades, he's got a much better economy, but does he have the numbers currently? And I don't think he does right now.
He's going to have 25. A few of them were moving across the map, though. He's actually sent a little force up into the natural base. This is a good move here by Hyun, splitting this army up and trying to draw him thin. And he gets a little bit of guaranteed damage, but either side, I think he wins both fights.
It's pretty good. Hyun's using the one advantage he has in this game, and the point is numbers. Using the one advantage, and he's doing it well.
He really is, splitting this up, having the upgrade advantage and being able to power through a lot of these drones. DongRaeGu feels he's in a lot of trouble at that 3rd base, has to pull the drones to actually fight. Meanwhile, over on the left-hand side as well, those roaches may end up getting cleaned up, but it's not enough. GG.
Wow.
Hyun ties up the series. And again, in this best of 5, we have a fight on our hands.
So, for anybody that really may not have understood how DongRaeGu lost that by how it was played out, it's quite simple. The drone count towards the end, what did you say it was, like 70?
66 to 46.
66 to 46.
Yeah.
Do you need 22 extra drones?
At that point,
yes, it's great, but just imagine if that was 5 less, 10 less. Still a better economy, but if he had that in units, it was very, very, very close. Very close. Just 1 wave less of drones, he probably had more units, he probably held it with a better economy, therefore over time would have had a better army. A very delicate game, that one.
And that was the perfect time for Hyun to go. Absolutely perfect. If it had been any later, then that economy advantage that we saw from DongRaeGu would have kicked in. And he would have had more drones, he would have had more production, more of everything, aside from the equality of upgrades. But perfect timing by Hyun, reading the game really well.
So that was again a close game. I mean, both games have been quite close. If Hyun may have, made that wall in game number 1, maybe it could have gone his way. If DongRaeGu maybe didn't build that many drones, it was, like you said, 22 additional drones. Maybe he could have had enough units. But whatever the case, this is proving to be a pretty good series already, right?
Oh, yeah.
I'm enjoying this.
Oh yeah, it's not your standard ZVZ just yet, where you just see roaches versus roaches hitting up against one another in a big wave.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, even though roaches hit up against roaches, if you look at all the smaller details that build up to it, it's like artwork. It's really beautiful, the moves that these players pull off. And that's what we're seeing so far. Small things, but we have to look at the overarching story here. And this is a question that we need to answer, at least Hyun needs to answer. Is Hyun becoming too predictable?
I think he could be. If he keeps doing this every single game in a best of 5, I mean, we see a lot of players like SOS, for example, in that previous series, going toe-to-toe with Curious to the very brink. He mixes it up almost every single game. And that is a real strength in StarCraft. Now, we haven't seen that kind of mix-up from a player like Hyun.
Yeah.
That could come back to bite him.
All right, so why do you think that we could see aggressive play maybe versus Hyun? This is a style that we saw TLO use successfully.
From DongRaeGu?
Yeah, against Hyun.
I think so. I think he could.
Like an 8-9 pool, something like that.
We certainly could see something like that. If he's just going to go hatchery first every game, it would work out pretty well. How about yourself? You think that could come out?
No, I don't think so.
No?
I think DongRaeGu is probably comfortable with game number 1, obviously, because he won it, and game number 2, even though he lost it.
Yeah.
He had everything going his way and needed either extra time or less drones, and he won that game. I actually guarantee you he won that game if it wasn't for those 2 things.
Oh, yeah. It was a fantastically economic lead that we saw there set up for DongRaeGu. But now, game number 3, Yeonsu is our map, a bit of a smaller map. It actually would be quite difficult to get away fully with a hatchery first if you were going up against something like an 8 or a 9 pool.
Yep.
But DongRaeGu is the kind of player that does have a lot of confidence in his long-term play. He really does. He's one of those Zergs that is comfortable with it, and he could quite easily just say, well, I just feel I'm the better player here. I'm just going to play this out.
All right, game number 3 almost ready now. Tied 1 apiece in this best of 5. The first player to get to 3 goes to the semi-finals.
Pretty good. All right, guys, let's get into game number 3 as we have Yeonsu, our map, between Hyun and DongRaeGu. 1 apiece here, effectively resetting it all to that best of 3 from that best of 5, as we have, spawning up to the top right-hand corner, our red Zerg. Representing Quantic Gaming as well as Korea. Ladies and gents, give it up for Hyun. And down to the bottom left, our MVP representative, also representing Korea. Give it up for DongRaeGu.
So, Battle of the Zergs. So far, almost the entire of the tournament. And a couple of Protoss players remaining. After we finish with this series, it's gonna be a good one to follow it.
Oh, yeah.
It will be the last non-Korean playing in this tournament. Naniwa going up against San in that final quarterfinal, ready to see who can move on to the semi. Of course, the winner of this game would play the winner of that game. It's gonna be a good day tomorrow in New York City for the top 4, that's for sure.
Yeah, we have our semi-final already determined in the form of Life versus Curious, which is, again, another really impressive ZVZ that could come our way from those 2 guys. But now we're in the CVZ, as we have Hyun heading over with his Overlord, all these Overlords heading over every direction, but it's not really a big deal. Whilst we have the expansion first for both players. So neither player wanting to take any big risks early on.
And this is good. I mean, but as this game's just kind of getting underway, we do see a similar style from Hyun here. Actually, hold on a second. 16.
Ooh,
oh, he's actually changing it up a little bit, and that's actually risky. The reason why it's risky is the question. Another question I asked you before is what happens if DongRaeGu was to do something very early and aggressive? Hyun now has taken his safety guard off, which was 15 hatch, 14 pull. He's taken it off to go for the extractor, then spawn and pull to match his opponent here. And he's playing a different style, which is the key part of all of it. He's decided to go for an extractor. We don't usually see this.
Yeah. It's funny if you're an onlooker from ZVZ and you don't really play too much Zerg, when you think about how much difference just one gas can make this early. It's actually massive. Having speed out that early to be able to contend with your opponent's speed, and then you get into sometimes those Zergling Baneling wars that can occur in this matchup as well. We've not really seen proper Zergling and Baneling wars throughout the majority of our Zerg versus Zergs yet. Which technically could occur, but most people like to get onto those roaches really fast.
Yeah, we definitely could see that here. Hyun's gone into the main base of his opponent and seen speed again, but DongRaeGu only scouted one gas there. He didn't check the other, and he didn't see any drones coming back and forth either. So he may be just expecting Hyun to play the same. This is vital information that has been missed from DongRaeGu.
Yeah, it is, because imagine if he thinks, all right, you're two double gas Lus again. So now I am going to just try and pressure once again, but then it's speed versus speed, and the Banelingness comes down from
straight
Hyun.
away. And I really think that in Hyun's position, you can say, did that Overlord see me? Because I don't think it did.
Yeah.
And that's, if I was Hyun, I would be saying the same thing. And especially considering the way that both these players out. Imagine if Hyun was to build nothing but Zerglings now and hide them.
I think he might do it.
And look at these Zerglings. They're actually running around saying, all right, follow the leader, guys, follow the leader. And Zerglings, they can't tell the difference between colors. They're following the leader. But unfortunately for DongRaeGu, Hyun is building 18 Zerglings. He's chased up his complete 10 drones from DongRaeGu. This is beautiful play from Hyun. Absolutely amazing. Mind game level. So smart from him. And he's going to come out with an attack that I think could just insta-win this game.
This is going to hit really, really hard. All those drones being transferred over to the natural as well. He's going to have nothing.
DongRaeGu sees it now. Just now as he sees it. But he's so late. He's Overlord capped. He only can build 6 links until that Overlord finishes. There is no Baneling Nest. There's no Spine Crawlers. There's no additional Queens. This could just be an instant win.
These Zerglings, there's 30 of them out right now against what? 10 max? The Zerglings surround the Queen. Gonna kill that off very quickly. Second Queen's gonna be vulnerable. He sees Banelings morphing in as well. This is gonna be big as DongRaeGu is on the back foot. He is on the ropes. He's trying to get Zerglings out as quickly as he can do, but he doesn't have that Baneling Nest, as you rightly pointed out.
That's right. Hyun says, you think I'm being predictable? Yeah, you think that? You keep thinking that, because if you do, then I'm going to beat you easy peasy. 12 drones, 14 drones, even more. And Hyun says, get out the game, DongRaeGu. I will take a 2-1 lead, and the Spider Hyun is back.
Get out the game, Hyun, get out the game. All these lings running down to the natural as well. There you go, GG. And Hyun takes the lead 2-1.
Beautiful move.
What a play.
Absolutely beautiful. Really smart. Small details mean everything in a mirror matchup. And it was his fault right there. DongRaeGu, unfortunately, didn't scout the gas. Hyun knew about it. Hyun exploited it. Hyun killed him.
We called it, man. We called it. It was there, present in front. Well, and now here's the final moments of that third game as Hyun feels pretty happy with that one. But again, whenever he gets these wins, like that one, for example, it was similar to what we saw before, where he was, kind of content with his win.
Yeah.
He knew he had it in his grasp because of all those things that led up to that point in the game. So Hyun, he knows how to read the game so well, and now he's one game away from moving on to the semi-final.
Absolutely mind-blowing. Just the way that this series has gone. Hyun lost the first game, almost could have lost the second game, and all of a sudden he's leading 2-1. What a turn of fate that was. And he's in a position where one game now, one good game, no mistakes, and he's in the semi-finals. As easy as that.
Crazy game number 3, but played so well. That's an impressive wig, my friend. As we now get into game at number 4 in just a little bit. Whirlwind will be our map. A little bit more open, a little bit harder to get that earlier scouting information. Could help out one or the other, depending on what they choose.
That's right. And well, looks like these players are finally ready. DongRaeGu's typing in the chat that he is ready to begin this. And well, what a series we have on our hands. Zerg vs Zerg, some say, can be boring at times, but as we're seeing right now, we've had some excellent Zerg vs Zergs this weekend, and it only continues to impress. As looks like Hyun just asking for a second in, we will be starting momentarily. Do you think now, what do you think that DongRaeGu would be thinking, seeing his opponent play a complete one style the entire of the weekend, and then randomly changing it like that? What do you think? Does that frighten DongRaeGu maybe?
I think so. It says to DongRaeGu, if you're not going to scout absolutely everything about me, I will exploit you. I will be that opportunist that brings the pain to you very, very quickly. And that kind of thing in a ZVZ, which some people consider to be a volatile matchup, but it's very, very structured right now. It's a scary thing for a man like DongRaeGu.
All right, it's time to begin the next map. Will Hyun close it up and make his way to the semifinals? We'll find out.
We shall indeed, as we have that man spawning down to the bottom left-hand corner, representing Quantic Gaming as well as Korea. Give it up for Hyun. What a play, what a play.
Great game, last game,
yeah.
Great game.
And up to the top right-hand corner, we have our Blue Zerg, representing MVP as well as Korea. Give it up for DongRaeGu. So simple as well. A great game, but so simple. An amazing, amazing game at number 3. And now here on Whirlwind, we have cross positions enforced. So that means that it is going to be harder for these guys to scout out one another early on. And I won't be surprised if we actually saw a hatchery first again.
Absolutely, and the thing is, in these positions, even though they don't know that they've spawned there, the one thing you say, once you don't find your opponent with the first Overlord, the first thing you say is, I would love to be able to drone scout, because I would love to see what's going on. But at the same time, if you drone scout, you actually hurt yourself so much in Zerg versus Zerg. Because imagine if there was a very early spawning pool build. If you decide to drone scout, that's money you're not bringing in. That's a drone defense that you don't have. And sometimes you just instantly lose. So you actually can't afford to drone scout in Zerg versus Zerg anymore. Because there's so many early builds that are being used. And so both players will probably be very, very frightened. Now that the overlords from each other see that there's no hatchery down and the locations that they've scouted, both of them are probably like, oh god, I hope he's not attacking me early.
I really like that you point that out, that both players here could be very frightened by the position that they find themselves in. It's not something you think too much about it, you know, being able to see everything from our point of view, but right now, they are completely in the dark. They don't know if a 6 pool could be coming along for all they know.
Yeah, and Hyun did decide to go back to what he knows best, 14 spawning pool, just to make sure he is safe in case there is anything. But DongRaeGu did gamble a little bit here. He did go hatchery, then gas, then spawning pool again. A little bit of a gamble, but it obviously, as we can see in this case, it's being able to pull off. It'll work. He'll get his Zergling speed nice and early, and no threat, even though his spawning pool's late. But on the other side, Hyun, so far, gasless once again.
Gasless, gasless. He really likes to fall back onto this style, and it really gives us the indication here that, you know, this is far more comfortable for him, and he'll probably end up just throwing down, you know, a few evolution chambers at the front, go back into his Roach style, double evolution upgrades very quickly, just to try and eke out those advantages in the mid game where he feels super safe.
Yeah, and it looks like we are just going to see both styles that both of these players have chosen to enter this series with repeat itself. Gasless from Hyun, probably just going to take all 4 gases at the same time once he sees his opponent is not trying to be super aggressive. And we should see from DongRaeGu a fast third base again, because that's what you need to do against a player that's playing very passive, is to exploit a passive player, you expand, you get a higher economy. And it's going to come down to maybe the balance of DongRaeGu's economy to his army, because he may be put in a position like Valkyrie Vestige where he needs to defend. Oh, that's really good there from DongRaeGu, preventing the scouting information. Now Hyun isn't sure if there is aggression coming.
Yeah, that's really annoying. And DongRaeGu gets the opposite scout off and sees the lack of gas. He even leaves it, or tries to leave this Ling in.
So Hyun has to play this out very cautiously now. He cannot be super greedy. I wonder how he's going to play this. Does he take all 4 gases anyway here? Does he expect that this is DongRaeGu trying to trick him?
It could be. I think he probably tries to take all 4 gases eventually and sticks to what he normally does.
It's very risky, but it looks
really
like that's the case.
And there's the double gas on the natural that's been spotted instantly here by DongRaeGu.
Yeah, and DongRaeGu's like, come on, man. Come on, man.
Come on, man.
I tried to trick you, but you just did it anyway. So unfortunately for DongRaeGu, it didn't work out, and Hyun just says, whatever, I don't believe you. Try to hide whatever, but you're not going to be aggressive, and the bluff is called.
And the third base going down for DongRaeGu here, off the back of this. You know, there's not really a whole lot he can do against that. He doesn't have speed. He can't go over there with Lings. So DongRaeGu completely identifies what his opponent's doing, and is able to take that slight economical edge in it once that third finishes.
Look how fast that Roach Warren's been added on now. He's not cutting that out anymore, is he?
No.
We do have about 12 Zerglings out on the map, 14, but as soon as Hyun sees them, which he should do with his Overlord, he'll pull his queens back to the wall, just make sure he doesn't lose them. You don't really want to lose these queens early on. The transfuses are going to be very important as he wants to spread creep later on.
Yeah, and he is getting that going pretty rapidly here by Hyun. And obviously, if that third base does go down for him, it's a little bit easier to defend. But right now, DongRaeGu's not going to let that happen for quite a while. So he has to be very careful about that. The Baneling Nest actually started for DongRaeGu as well. I'm kind of surprised by that unless he wants to use it aggressively again. Because it's not going to have any uses too much against Roaches later on.
Maybe just a safety precaution, but oh my god, no! That's not meant to happen for Hyun. Transfuse works there, but I think he's going to lose his queens anyway. The drones come off to help. Oh, mistake from Hyun.
Second one falls. Zergling's trying to kill off a few drones here as well, but that's a big blow for Hyun. He already loses one of the workers. And again, those two queens dying means that it's going to be a bit harder for him to move out into the middle of the map to then claim his third base.
Yeah, and those transfuses are usually needed for defense later on, maybe on the spine crawler, maybe on the queens to buffer for the roaches or something. Losing those two queens not only implement the creep spread, but his defense. That's quite a big blow.
It really is. And DongRaeGu behind this right now, he's up to, well, it's 52 drones against 52 drones.
Yeah.
So Hyun hasn't lost too much at all, nor is he in a disadvantageous position with that. In fact, once he gets his Roach numbers going with that 1-1 in Gloory Constitution as well, then maybe he can kind of make something up there. But did he ever, wait a minute. Okay, sorry, those are DongRaeGu's upgrades. So he's quite far behind in that.
And Ling's just running around looking for that third base. Notice here how DongRaeGu has not droned really hard. We talked about it before. 66, I think you said he went up to. He's at 57. Massive difference. Massive difference. 9 drone difference, and he started his Roach production. He's got a faster third base. He's got a better economy. He has weaker upgrades, but he's making sure that he doesn't lose to a timing, the sweet spot that Hyun was able to hit previously. But the one big thing, that DongRaeGu has a faster gas on his third base, which means piling gas earlier on will mean that he'll probably be looking to tech a little bit faster in this game. Probably Hydralisks.
Well, that's certainly true. And, you know, with those extra roaches they have, it really shows the extra adaptation that we see here from DongRaeGu from game to game, all in one series. Being able to just say, well, you know, I did get too many drones that game. I can easily transition around that very nicely.
Oh, actually, hold on one second, because the queen shouldn't get picked off here, I don't think. But I was a little bit wrong there. There was one gas missing with DongRaeGu in his main base, so he's actually still on 4. I thought he was on 5. But whatever the case here, Hyun now, with 2-2 starting, much faster upgrades, it's going to be very difficult for Hyun to hit a timing with the units he has and the upgrades he has currently. But I really think his strength in this game, Hyun is when 2-2 is done. That's where the real strength will lie for Hyun, a massive 2-2 fight. This one, I'm not too sure about. I think DongRaeGu should be okay.
The Roach numbers are pretty even. It's 29 against 25, but again, DongRaeGu has that reinforcement path. As long as he separates his Roaches up nicely and neatly, he should be okay against this. Hyun sees how many Roaches his opponent has.
Look on the third. Look at that. Hyun gets in there. Little stab there, just with 4 Roaches. Every little drone helps there, slowing down his opponent, especially when Hyun is looking for a big, probably 2-2 timing.
Yeah, that's where the extra Roaches were, and they did pretty well for themselves. They got a few kills, 7 in total, so not too bad. He has to move away from the middle of the map, though, here, and doesn't want to be losing any of those Roaches.
DongRaeGu is researching Baneling speed. This is a massive indication what he's trying to go for here. He's not looking to use his gas towards Hydralisks or Infestors. He's going to go Banelings. He's going to try and break through with a powerful move. That Overseer should be able to see the Baneling Nest being used there. Yeah. But he really is going to make a lot of Banelings come crashing in. Hopefully the splash damage can do a massive amount of damage where he could take the fight. The Overseer's coming in, contaminating both the hatcheries, slowing down overall the unit production, right? You hit the hatcheries, you stop the lava, you have a higher unit count because Hyun already with a massive count. If Hyun hits with his 2-2 timing with a bigger army supply through the Overseers, that's a beautiful move.
God, he's got so many Roaches right now. He's almost at 50 Roaches against 32 of DongRaeGu's, and he lost a few there that didn't really do too much. He killed 1 drone down there with those Roaches, so Hyun right now has a massive, massive opportunity.
And DongRaeGu doesn't have a queen on his natural. I don't know where the hell it is, but right now he's not lava injecting on that hatchery, and all of a sudden Hyun has a large army. He's got 2-2, about to finish, 197 to supply to 153. Hyun could be here to win the semi-final position.
This could be perfect. This could be absolutely perfect. Even he needs to just spend a little time with +2 weapons. It is done as he moves into this engagement. He has such a good roach lead. 57 roaches against 27, and he powers on through this army so strongly. DongRaeGu falls down in terms of supply, and Hyun has played an absolute blinder of a game, a blinder of a series, and he is going to move on to the semi-finals. What an impressive play by Hyun.
Hyun is a massive tournament favorite here, dancing his roaches. It's Spider-Man time. Absolutely incredible. GG! Hyun is in the semi-finals.
What a play by Hyun. A fantastic series, fantastic adaptation all series long, and he absolutely loves his roaches. So ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for Quantic Hyun.
And he really does continue performing some of the best StarCraft in 2013. DreamHack Valencia win, multiple round of 8s, multiple semi-finals. He's in another one.
Wow, so impressive there by Hyun. And now he's going to play off against either Naniwa or San. And I'm worried for both of them. Hyun, he's a scary man.
Absolutely. For me, Hyun, I think I mentioned it to a lot of other people. The two favorites I thought would do really well was either Hero or Hyun in this tournament. Yeah. And he is just performing absolutely incredible. Unfortunately for DongRaeGu, who was the 2011 New York champion, not going to repeat that success here. The final moments of the roaches dancing as Hyun giggles away on the left-hand side. Of course he does. DongRaeGu, though.
He didn't look too happy.
Didn't look too happy.
And there you go. Hyun is victorious in this series. Dude, my pick for this tournament is, you know, I didn't want to go for like the obvious choices. I wanted to go for Curious. Of course, he is very strong. But if we were to see a ZVZ finals and it was to be Curious versus Hyun, that would be cool. Bring
it on. Bring the ZVZ finals on if that was to be the case, because those two players would have an excellent showing. But, of course, those players, if I'm not mistaken, could still meet each other, of course, but is Life going to be Curious is the big question, you know?
That is a question. He certainly could.
Because Life is also a remarkable Zerg player, so we've got 3 Zergs now in the semi-finals. The next quarterfinals has 2 Protoss players. Which one will go up against Hyun?
All right, and without further ado, guys, we can send it over to hear a few words from the victor moving on to the semi-finals, Quantic's Hyun.
Guys, congratulations to Hyun for advancing past DongRaeGu. Now, this was absolutely no easy feat. DongRaeGu is the past Intel Extreme Masters New York champion. I mean, Hyun has proven time and time again in this tournament that his ZVZ is a lot to be reckoned with. 일단 동래구 선수 엄청 잘하는 선수잖아요. 근데 또 저그전이었어요. 그래서 저그전 이번 대회에서 몇 번 해봤으니까 좀 긴장 덜 했어요? 아니면 그래도 동래구 선수니까 긴장 많이 했어요?
일단 긴장을 좀 했고, 상대가 이제 동래구 선수다 보니까 탑 저그라고 생각을 하기 때문에 근데 제가 또 이번 대회에서 저그전을 많이 했는데 이제 그거를 이제 그렇게만 제가 한 가지만 했었는데 이제 그거를 이제 생각을 하고 플레이하게끔 하고 그거를 이제 제가 노린 맵이 연수였는데 그게 잘 먹혀들어서 결국에 이긴 것 같아요.
So I asked him how he felt about going up against DongRaeGu. Obviously, he's a top Zerg player. I asked him if he felt, you know, comfortable going into it since he's played so many ZVZs at this tournament already. He said, I was actually a bit nervous going into it, despite the fact that I've played so many ZVZs, just because DongRaeGu is such a good Zerg player. But I feel like on Yeonsu, I had a really, really good strategy that works really well, and that's why I was able to take the series. 그 세레모니, 진짜 멋졌는데 그 생각을 어떻게 했어요?
ESL이 주관하는 지금 IEM이잖아요. IEM 그 보스인 카맥이 이 퍼포먼스를 추천을 해주고, 그리고 옷도 코스프레 스파이더맨 코스프레 옷도 사줘가지고 제가 좀 완벽하게 할 수 있었던 것 같아요. 그래서 고맙다고 말하고 싶습니다.
So I asked Hyun how he came up the idea to become Spidey Hyun, and he said Carmack actually gave the idea to him to become a superhero, so he chose Spider-Man. And Carmack actually bought the Spider-Man suit for him so that he can have an amazing ceremony for you guys. So he wants to say, Carmack, thank you very, very much that I was able to have such a great ceremony. 마지막으로 팬들 엄청 많이 와 있는데 한마디만 해주세요.
일단 뉴욕을 제가 처음 왔고 IEM 뉴욕을 또 첫 참가한 건데 팬들의 호응도 정말 좋은 것 같고 무엇보다 그 여기 지금 애니메이션 코스프레 행사를 지금 축제를 페스티벌을 하고 있거든요. 그러다 보니까 이제 그거에 대한 이제 열기도 엄청난 것 같고 그래서 제가 또 코스프레를 하면서 또 팬들에게 즐거움도 주고 저도 즐겁고 게임도 이기고 정말 좋은 시간이었던 것 같습니다.
So I asked him how he feels about all of you guys, you know, being here and cheering for him, and he said, "This is my first time in New York, and obviously first time in an Intel Extreme Masters New York event. I think that your passion and your uproar and all your cheering is amazing, and it's so energetic. Obviously, and he loves the fact that this is also Comic-Con, so in return, that's why he cosplayed for you guys as Spider-Man, and he hopes that you guys really enjoyed it, and he hopes that you guys keep cheering for him. So keep showing him your support." Thank you, Hyun, for this interview. Guys, let's cut to Nathanius for an analysis of those games.
Thank you, Smix. We here have going to be taking a bit of a look at the last game of this series where Hyun was able to close things out and advance to the semifinals. But thankfully for me, there's one superhero that's not known for being tall, but here we can see it's just getting a little bit closer towards the end. Hyun had finished up his 1-1. His greedy style that he'd been doing, opening up gasless for a lot of this series, paid off well. His attack upgrade timing's a little bit faster than his opponent. He comes in with the shove, brings the roaches in from the side, continuing to just mess with DRG. We can see that the supply was very close at this point, but Hyun being able to interrupt the economy, the production of his opponent. We even saw a contaminate at one point in one of the hatcheries, either the natural or the main base. He comes in, distracts DRG, forcing him to spend his multitasking, defending this aggression. All the while, Hyun retreats home, bolstering his defenses. We see many roaches being remade. At this point in time, there's actually drones coming out for DRG, not the units that he would need to stop this attack due to that harass. At the same time, also investing in upgrades like his Baneling speed. Hyun's 2-2 is going to finish up relatively soon, continuing to bring the pressure. He remaxes, gets the rest of his forces pressed together. We see the roach count start to escalate very quickly now, just pumping out pure units. The Quantic Zerg defends a little bit of a run by towards his own base, but is able to ultimately come up, get the better positioning. The 2-2 finishes right as he brings this attack, and that gives him the edge he needs to just completely overwhelm DRG using great harass and upgrade timings through excellent use of builds chosen in this map. And that's pretty much all we have for the analysis. Of course, we can take another quick look at Hyun dancing his roaches at the end of this game. Spider Hyun happy with his victory here and moving on in the Intel Extreme Masters New York City. That's all at the analysis desk. Back to you, Red Eye.
Thank you very much to Nathanius as well. A fantastic set of games there from Spider Hyun. 12-10, never forget. Or 10-12 as they do it in the US. Right, we're going to move on to the last quarterfinal in a few moments' time. But before we get there, we have a special prize to give away via the RaidCall. No, calm down, guys, not here. All right, we already gave one out here. If you are on RaidCall, or if you aren't on RaidCall right now, all you need to do is download RaidCall from raidcall.com, and then you can enter the group. The group number is 1997. Pay attention to that number because it's quite important. 1997 or 1997. I'm giving some clues away. There is a question, and here is the question. What year did ESL start? Now, if you can answer the question, yeah, it's still following, good. Then go to raidcall.com, download the client, go into the group 1997. There is a channel in there with the question in. The first person to enter the password will get in, and if you get in, you win the HyperX headset. It's as simple as that. Or not, depending on how clever you are. So we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, it will be the fourth and final quarterfinal. Is Sweden still fighting? We're about to find out.
professional-grade communication tool. The choice of professional teams. Perfect stream viewing experience. Chosen by online streamers. Easy-to-use voice messenger service. Chosen by over 12 million gamers.
Communication is always vital when competing in tournaments. Winning a match requires perfect coordination. You cannot win by yourself.
Raid Call. Communication for winners.